A client was filming a Waffle House server, but she was unaware of it. A waitress at Waffle House in Landmark, Texas was getting ready for her shift like she always did. It was simply another typical morning, nothing extraordinary about the day, or so she believed. She couldn't have realized as she went about her duties and served her clients their coffee and breakfast that a series of events would occur in just few hours and completely transform her life. But this day was different in some way. There were a lot of regulars at that specific Waffle House. Laura Wolfe was a woman who was one of them. She would regularly drop by the eatery for a chat with the Waffle House personnel, a cup of coffee. Although she had frequented the eatery for breakfast on most days, this particular March 3rd, 2018 was going to be unlike any other. Laura noticed something that not only drew her eye but also made her forget about breakfast and grabbed her phone and she began photographing a woman who was unaware that anyone was taking pictures of her. Laura had thought something was strange about this day. Even before she started recording a waiter, the Landmark Waffle House was even busier than normal days. Even though it was a typically rather packed indeed, it appeared as though a sizable portion of the town's 16,000 inhabitants were present. Laura maintained a watch on all of the breakfast orders as the waitresses rushed to fulfill everyone's request. Laura Wolfe had been coming to this Waffle House on a regular basis, so she knew a few of the names of the staff members. Ivany Williams was one of the waiters. Working on a particularly busy morning, she had worked at the restaurant for a long time, so her hard-working reputation among the patrons was well established. Ivany committed herself to saving money for college at the age of 18. She hadn't been able to save much yet, but the long hours at Waffle House were helping. The fact that the restaurant was packed thrilled Ivany ultimately. The majority of the servers' income comes from tips. Therefore, having more patrons means that they will receive more tips. She got right to work bringing hot platters of food and collecting orders. Unfortunately, Ivany had to work even harder to cover her responsibilities and keep up with everything. Because the restaurant was a little understaffed on this busy day, she spent much of today rushing about trying to get things done. However, she was momentarily sidetracked by what she spotted. As she left an order at one table, Ivany had seen something about a specific consumer. He'd been in the restaurant numerous times. She realized as she brought breakfast to a seated group of eager customers, he was generally there once a week. Undoubtedly, he was a regular. The patron was a 78-year-old guy called Adrian, but the term Mr. Karaoke was adopted with love by everybody. He was carrying an oxygen tank with him, and the Waffle House personnel was aware of his health issues. Ivany did something surprising next. Ivany was always on the go, trying to keep up with the hectic day of Waffle House. She was pressed for time truly, with little opportunity for rest. She finally felt as though she was catching up on everything. Adrian tried to get her attention. At the same moment, Adrian was seated in the bar area where she finally realized he was trying to get her attention. The old guy began to murmur to her in a low enough voice that no one else could hear. Recall that Ivany was unaware that she was being videotaped by a different client who had seen their exchange. Laura Wolfe sat in a booth across from Adrian and Ivany where they were having their private talk. Unable to hear what they were discussing, she moved in a bit closer to try to catch a glimpse of their exchange. As he spoke with Ivany, Laura felt that the man appeared a little uncomfortable. Laura pulled out her camera and began recording, sensing that something extraordinary was happening. It may be difficult to hear anybody above the din during the breakfast rush at a packed Waffle House, let alone an elderly man who was dependent on oxygen for medical reasons. Ivany leaned in to try to comprehend Adrian as the best as she could, but on a busy day, the restaurant couldn't afford for one of the line cooks to notice that she was holding things up. He yelled at her to pay attention, but she ignored him and kept listening to Adrian. Ivany initially believed that frequent patron Adrian had a grievance with his meal. That is, after all, one of the most frequent causes for a dinner to signal their server. In reality, the old guy started to push his plate of food toward her after saying something inaudibly to her. After filling it with ham, bread, home potatoes, and scrambled eggs, Ivany picked up the platter and returned it to him. What was happening? Although it seemed like this conversation was lasting a while, it really just took up a minute or so for Ivany's hectic morning. This was a fleeting time and her whole attention was on Adrian. Listening to the old guy talk, her mind momentarily drifted away from the crowded restaurant and its numerous hungry patrons. Of course, Laura was still recording the exchange, but another recording was going on as well. A restaurant cameras more than ever, there was a CCTV security camera system in place at this specific area. The camera that was suspended from the ceiling was capturing everything that transpired while Laura was observing the encounter. Unnoticed by most, the silent camera provided an overhead view of everything that transpired between Adrian and Ivany that fateful day at a Waffle House. After seeing the sight that had just unfolded in front of her, Laura Wolfe lost her words. The waiter brought back his breakfast dish, and she now had many pictures of Adrian and Ivany. She debated for a while what to do with the photographic proof before deciding to share it on Facebook. Unaware of how she was going to alter Ivany's life, she revealed it. Adrian signaled waitress Ivany, and there was the beginning of the incredible spectacle Laura Wolfe had just witnessed and captured on camera. The man's health was deteriorating and he was finding it more difficult to carry his daily duties. Laura felt that when he spoke with Ivany, he appeared ashamed or self-conscious. And as it happened, he needed help slicing his morning ham. Adrian said to ABC News, "I can hold a fork fine and dandy, but to cut it, it looks like I'm going to stab somebody." Help cutting his meal was what he had requested Ivany to do. Ivany later described what happened that fateful morning at the Waffle House. Adrian asked, he was like, "My hands are not functioning too well," and the woman recalled she had to squint her head to hear his query. She told ABC News, "I cut his food for him because he needed it." Ivany picked up his plate, sliced the ham into little pieces, and handed it back to him. Ivany went about her usual day and didn't give it much thought because this was a fairly ordinary task for a server to complete with a frequent client. Laura had a great desire to share the details of what she had just seen with others for the time being. She reasoned that sharing her images on Facebook would be the best option. This is what she shared. "I don't know her name, but I heard this elderly man tell her his hands don't work too good," Laura said. He was also having trouble breathing and was on oxygen tank. She took his plate and chopped up his ham without hesitation. To him, this probably seemed like a major deal. "I appreciate that your gesture of generosity and concern caught my attention when I woke up. While it feels like everything in this world is so bad." The post had an immediate impact on everyone who viewed it. Even though Laura was still working at Waffle House, her post began to garner a lot of attention. Large flash on her phone from left to right, positive things were said about Ivany, and a lot of people shared Laura's article on their own platforms. Word of this woman's kind act quickly spread. Laura ended her Facebook post by saying, "If we could all be like this waitress and take time to offer a lending hand." She had no idea what would follow as a consequence. The viral nature of Laura's post happened quickly. After she initially posted them, the picture have received about 50,000 shares and 90,000 likes in a few days. Ivany's thoughtful gesture moved many, and they wanted to tell their own friends and family about their wonderful experience. The post attracted attention to Adrian as well. He joked that they got a nice photo of his suspenders in the rear and told ABC News, "Someone told me 2 days later that I was very popular because they saw me on Facebook." It appears that Ivany and Adrian were all well known in the community. Someone powerful was ready to reveal themselves. As soon as he learned about Ivany's kindness, Landmark, Texas Mayor Bobby Hawking wanted to meet her. The Waffle House was selected as the location for the gathering. Naturally, there were a lot of cameras at the restaurant for the occasion. Something Ivany knew that the mayor had prepared for this unique occasion, but which she had not anticipated. He wanted to show everyone how much he respected her. On the big day, Ivany saw a surge of reporters on the cameras, crews swarm her place of work. This time, at least, she would know that she was being filmed. When the mayor came, he declared that he wanted to make a special presentation while standing behind the Waffle House bar, exactly where Ivany had been when she had assisted Adrian with his breakfast that morning. He announced to the assembled media and audience that March 8th will be honored as Ivany Nene Williams Day in Landmark. And for Ivany, who was already stunned as her story circulated online, things were going to get even better. People were curious to know more about her. How did this amazing woman get to be employed at Waffle House? When word got out, Ivany's motivation for work so hard was to save up enough money for education. A GoFundMe page was created by several Landmark residents as a way of paying it forward and an attempt to collect tuition funds so Ivany could go to school. Also turned out that word of our fundraising endeavor reached out a very significant person. A GoFundMe website that was created to gather money for Ivany and pay it forward so she could attend college started to get an increasing number of donations. The kind Waffle House waitress received donations from individuals all throughout the nation and even from her own town. A few employees at Texas Southern University in Houston were informed of Ivany's intention to go to college. They made a decision to provide a unique assistance as stated by an administrator at the institution. We wanted to reward Ivany's act of kindness, indeed, and they did. Ivany was thrilled to hear that Adrian and Laura would be present to support her as she discovered the new holiday dedicated to her the day at Waffle House. Ivany never would have imagined that there would be another person present. The president of Texas Southern University was also present. He expressed his desire to have the opportunity to meet her and assure her that good acts are not insignificant. After the mayor presented Ivany with his special holiday, the president of Texas Southern University took his position behind the Waffle House bar. As he subsequently described in a televised interview, he was about to present an unimaginable gift to the particular woman, a scholarship for a whopping $16,000, holding out an enormous check. The crowd, including Ivany, broke down in happy, surprised tears. The people who spearheaded this entire endeavor were particularly delighted for Ivany. Laura, Wolfie, and Adrian could not have imagined that the part they would play in the future of a Waffle House waitress. Laura said the following to reporters that day when she spoke. She really stopped to listen to what he had to say rather than just passing by because, it was rather crowded in here. It just had meaning for me. She gave an explanation. Adrian said that he also found a great meaning in the deed. Ivany, who has always been modest, claimed that she helped those in need just like anybody else would. She remained humble in the face of the scholarship, the media attention, and the prize. She said the local media, "I'm not sure I would have done it on any other day." She may not agree with everyone, though, if they had ever been in the beneficiary of a stranger's compassion. Ivany is a wonderful illustration of how to treat people with compassion.